The government's planned changes to curb protests suffered a series of defeats as the House of Lords voted them down. The government introduced the measures following disruptive protests from environmental activists who blocked traffic and glued themselves to roads. The measures among those rejected by the Lords were making it a new offence to interfere with key national infrastructure, allowing the police to stop and search anyone at a protest, as well as restrictions on protests judged to be too noisy and too disruptive. Many said they felt the measures are too wide-reaching.
At further points, the ability to demonstrate and the ability to demonstrate while making a noise is a very valuable safety valve in our civil society. If you close that safety valve off, you are going to cause a far greater mischief than is currently the case.
Others criticised how the bills were rushed through Parliament. In a separate government defeat, peers backed imposing tougher sentences for blocking a highway to major routes and motorways rather than all roads.
We cannot support any of these last-minute, rushed and ill-thought-through, very broad powers in this group of new government amendments, with the exception of improving the increased sentences for wilfully obstructing motorways and major roads.
But the Home Office Minister said the measures were important to protect the public from the small number of people who use disruptive tactics.
My Lords, this House has got a choice. It can stand by the British public who respect and value the right to peaceful protest, but recognise that protesters should not have a free rein to trample on the rights of others. Or it can send a signal to the militants who believe that their right to protest trumps all other rights and there should be no limit on the amount of disruption they cause, whatever the cost to the wider public.
Peers also voted for a proposal that would make misogyny a hate crime in England and Wales, although some peers raised concerns that the perceptions of a hate crime are subjective. Home Secretary Priti Patel accused Labour of backing measures to stop Insular Britain and Extinction Rebellion, bringing our country to a standstill, while Justice Secretary Dominic Raab has suggested the government would bring back measures against noisy protests. The bill will now go back to the Commons, and it could go back and forth between the Commons and the Lords, a process known as ping-pong, until the two houses reach an agreement. Jane Worrell, NTD News, London.